welcome back to B&B Banter Bros Goes to the Movies. I am Timothy Bennett, and with me is Aaron Banyan. Just us two tonight, so far. Maybe Jason will join us. Who knows? He's lost.
Rip Van Winkle over there.
Yep. Yeah. Sleeps his life away. That's probably what he's doing. So tonight, we're going to be talking about episode 7 of, I think it's episode 7
Yeah, that sounds right.
of Only Murders in the Building, season 2. And this is a good one.
This was really good.
As soon as Amy Schumer went away, I've not been disappointed.
Right? Yeah.
Like, they've just been nailing. It's like I feel like the first season
she's
again.
Gonna come back. I don't know why, but she's gonna come back. You know she is.
I know, and I'm trying not to think of it. I just hope it's brief.
Right.
So yeah, this episode, it was called Flipping the Pieces.
Hell yeah.
Do you think it fit? Think it made sense?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was probably one of, like, most of their titles are pretty literal.
Yeah.
But this one was like literal on like so many levels.
Yeah. I agreed. Like when they started doing the puzzle piece things, I was like, okay, well, that makes sense. But there's so much more that layering that they did.
Yeah.
And I noticed that with, like, this season, their titles have a little bit more to them than just
depth.
Here it is. Yeah, a lot more depth. Yep. And I like that. It just shows you that they've matured, that they've grown. So, let me read off the little synopsis of this episode. Following her incident on the subway, Mabel receives help from an unlikely ally who takes her to a legendary amusement park full of terror. I really don't know if that's true.
I know what they were shooting for, but it's not.
Really, no. Back at the...
There's a tense moment or two, but it's not
a little
like,
bit, yeah.
It's not horror or like terror.
No. Back at the
that's somebody
Arconia.
That's somebody trying to punch up the synopsis.
Yep. Charles and Oliver find amusement of their own and new evidence.
New evidence.
I don't know what the new evidence. Oh, maybe it's the picture at the end, but we'll talk about that.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that's what it is.
That wasn't really amusing, but...
No, but they were, like, amusing themselves until
that's
that
valid.
point, I guess. So, right away, who do we get? Who's the focus? Like, from where we left off, they could basically just pick it up.
Oh,
right
Mabel's
after
the
where we
focus
left off.
Mabel's the focus of this episode.
Yeah.
I know earlier in this season I said that Charles was going to be the main focus of this one, and I'm rescinding that comment because it's abundantly clear that they're going to spend equal time with everybody.
Yeah.
So,
because the last episode was focused around Mabel a little bit.
Yeah.
And then you have this one, and it's basically about Mabel. It's all about Mabel. Like,
and Oliver's been pretty prominent in episodes. Like, they're working on every angle.
We had mentioned this maybe in past couple episodes, but Selena Gomez hasn't had a lot of dialogue.
No, and she gets to shine here.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, we're getting a lot of her. And I wouldn't say it's a lot of dialogue, but just we're getting a lot of FaceTime.
She gets to shine in this episode is really what I'll say. It's not necessarily a lot of dialogue, but like she's the prominent fixture in this one. She's the shining character.
Yeah. Do you like that? Do you think that it's working?
I think it did.
Without incorporating the story, because that's obviously... But do you like that she's shining? Do you like that she's on the spotlight?
I think it's appropriate that she gets some equal time because she's supposed to be a main character, so you have to shine the light on her at some points. You can't have her...
Can't tuck her into shadows.
Yeah, you can't have her build and like set in the way she is and have her be almost unknown.
Yeah.
So it's appropriate that they're shining lights on her at certain points.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of looking at it. I feel the same way. It's very appropriate. Yeah. I wouldn't say that I dislike it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind it. But
Right. Yeah.
I agree. I think it's a good choice. I think it's a
Her
right
performance
choice.
in this episode is good, but not like it's not gonna like blow my socks off.
Yeah. It's like Jason says, she's extremely monotone.
Yes.
And this is no exception. She's just
She has
until
trouble
she starts
emoting.
swearing,
Yeah.
and then
don't
she wants to
get
be
a
a little
lot of-
aggressive.
There's not a lot of emotion out of her till the end when she like reunites with Oliver and Charles.
I thought the same thing. When she walks in that diner, it's the only time you see her excited and happy.
Right.
And it's like, why? Where is this? Like,
Right.
where's this coming from? This isn't
Yeah.
the right Mabel. It's a clone.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't really think she was awesome in this episode, but I think what was done with her character and the way they're using it in the story was done properly. But I
Yeah,
don't think
I agree.
she of herself was awesome in any way.
I am liking Selena Gomez.
Yeah.
In the first season, in the first couple episodes, we were a little hesitant with her. We didn't hate her. We thought she did better than we expected right away. But I've grown so attached to her, and not
I can't
seeing
think
her
of- yeah.
or thinking that she won't be in a scene or something like that doesn't feel right.
I can't think of anyone else that I would have in this show at this point.
Yeah,
And I don't think she's doing a bad job.
no,
She's doing an okay job.
yeah,
And like I think she's doing fine.
Yep.
It's hard to in this situation act like against Steve Martin and Martin Short. And I think she's holding her own. It would be the way I'd say it.
I think the only way that they really were able to find this character is by giving her a sense of forced vulgarness. You know, like she swears, she's very abrupt, she's just very
She's trying to be edgy.
yeah, and it's fine. But I think that's what makes it work with these two old guys. Is she's edgy, she's younger, she's more hip, and then there's these two older guys who look at her and oddly almost idol the
They connect with her in various facets. Like they feel a fatherly bond, an equals bond.
Yeah.
And there's definitely a bit of a looking up to her because she's in this world, whereas they're from the old world. I think the best example is when they're talking about she hasn't answered any of my. Charles says she hasn't answered any of my text communications.
I thought that was
And
great
Martin
too.
and Oliver's like, oh, that's so weird because we text all the time.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
the,
memes,
memes,
Charles,
You should
the
see
memes.
all the memes.
And
I
that's
thought that was good.
that's
And
exactly it though.
It's a
That's
good
exactly
definition of like their relationship. Like it's fatherly and worrying about a friend and someone you look up to. Like you can tell in the way they talk about her that they feel all these things for her.
Yeah. Well, and let's be real. They've had to kind of, how do I want to say this? They're not as intelligent as maybe they should be. So she comes off a little more aware, a little more now. And these guys are a little bit more like, I don't know, in their own little world. So
Yeah,
I feel
They're
like she really,
they're socially like inept because of Oliver's grandiose like diva
his
tendencies
whimsical
and
manners.
and Charles's neuroses and his like weird like need to be Brazos, even though he's not Brazos. Like
Yep.
those things make them socially inept, whereas like Mabel is like socially good, but she's got a lot of
present.
other things that like she's present and she has things that they balance out for her.
Yeah.
But like
Which is also why, like, I kind of want to say, like, she has to dumb herself down for these guys because she's learning things from these people because of their experience and how old they are, but she's really just learning how she has to dumb down things for these guys because they're just a bunch of idiots. That's what's great.
She knows that she'll outpace them if she doesn't like slow it down.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And that's kind of part of her, like, abruptness, too. She's just so forward and they want to be a little bit more exaggerated, a little bit more dramatic about everything,
Yeah.
make it a little more interesting.
Well, they want to be the ones that like figure it out.
It's true.
Like they want to be the ones that are right, even though
Yeah.
they don't know necessarily what's going on.
Yep. And that's why the episode with, what was it? Zoe? Is that her name? Chloe, Zoe,
Okay.
the girl, the Steve Martin's
Lucy.
Lucy. There it is. I
It
forgot.
was a 4-letter Y name.
I
So you were
completely
close.
forgot her name. That's why Lucy, having that conversation with Selena on one of those last episodes that we did,
Yep.
was great because then you really see how she feels with the old guys. Mm-hmm. That it was brilliant.
Yeah.
It was great. It really slumped her into that category of I'm with them. We in this episode, we got a couple interesting, very, very interesting things that kind of led us in a completely different direction.
Yeah.
And that was with a reintroduction of a character that we did not expect to see.
2 characters. We get 2 characters that return.
Who's the second one?
Who comes to talk to Charles and Oliver?
I don't remember. I just watched it.
What?
Oh, yeah. You're talking about the cop.
Yeah. And
Oh,
she's been
well,
missing
okay, yeah, yeah.
since like the
That's-
first
that's
episode.
fair. But
But I mean, she's a read.
we knew
read-
where she
read
was. We knew
Right.
what was going on with her. But who was the one that? So in the last episode, Mabel stabbed a person in the subway,
Yeah.
got recorded, got blown up on the internet, and then she ran out.
Instagram.
Well, in this episode, she wakes up in a bed, and right next to her bloody jacket, and she doesn't know where she is.
Right.
Whose place is she at?
It turns out to
saved
be
her?
Theo. It turns out to be Theo's place.
Yeah,
Teddy
the deaf-
Demas's son, the deaf
yeah,
one.
deaf
Yep.
guy. Yep. And I just loved that entire conversation, especially
Yeah.
right away where he's just like looking at her and she's just talking. He's like, I didn't understand any of that.
Yeah, when he keeps trying to
She-
sign, she's like, "What do you? I don't understand sign language.
I don't speak ASL.
I don't speak ASL." Yeah,
I thought that was great. And then he eventually had to pull out his card. It
yeah.
says like, my name is Theodore and
Is
I.
it- my
deaf.
name is Theo. I'm deaf. I know sign language. I can only get about a third of what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like I read lips, and I can only get about a third of what you're saying.
I just thought that was great.
I love the line. Like right after, she's like, I thought, deaf people could read lips more easily than this. And he's like, well, a lot of deaf people don't write movies.
Yeah. Yep. I thought it was great. But that conversation was interesting.
All their conversations were very interesting.
It really was. Context and watching just how they were doing it. Because right away it was very awkward. It was just like these two people who don't understand each other, but
Yep.
yet they found a way of understanding each other. But what do you think the purpose of bringing him back in?
I think it is basically, I think it's a ramp up to her conversation with him in the car towards the end of the episode. And I think that was really the thrust of what he was used for in this episode. He may come back and like may become more prominent in the next couple episodes. I don't know. But
Well, the only thing we do know is, as of right now, he's not the killer. He's not the.
Right.
Well, let me rephrase this. He's not the glitter bomb guy.
right, exactly. But yeah, I think in large part his character right now in this episode is to help add depth to Selena Gomez's character. Like I say, that conversation in the car when she talks about her dad, and how he passed and her not like knowing how to cope with it and things like that, and like pushing it, like basically giving that nudge to like say, hey, you should talk to your dad because he ignores that call.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of this is. There's a lot of like there's some depth to Theo's character added in this too, because he has that conversation of like every night before I go to bed, I think about that night and I can't, like, I wonder, did she slip or did I push her? And he's like, I still don't know.
Yeah, and I think that really what it comes down to is a sense of closure. It's an acceptance. It's relying on each other and helping each other have this moment of like, I wouldn't say closure is the right word, but it's acceptance.
I was a little hesitant for
It's a little bit more about acceptance.
Sure.
It's accepting that, hey, this is what has happened. This is what we go through.
Yeah.
Popcorn? Do you want to make some popcorn? Yeah. Well, you have to ask Daddy or my mama, buddy. Sorry about that.
Good.
Leslie wants popcorn.
I think you're saying acceptance is. I think it almost boils down to the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not involved with the killer, so she takes the help, and they sort of like form a bit of a bond through that. Like maybe not a bond, but like they come to an understanding of each other.
Yeah.
Almost.
I mean, it's definitely a bond. They definitely bonded because after spending like the whole day together, they found
playing with the arcade machines.
Yeah, they definitely found a bond. I think that really what it did was it helped Selena pay attention to herself because she didn't have anybody else talking at her. This is like the perfect person to have a day with because he's not actually interrupting her train of thought. You know, so she has somebody there. She has somebody to bounce something off of, but it's not a bunch of advice. It's not a bunch of opinions in her head. So like she can sit there and kind of sit inside of her own head a little bit, try to figure things out. We haven't really been able to see that because she's been trying to run away from everything. This is the first time that she's come, and this is why I think I said closure. She's come to an acceptance and she's kind of concluding what happened and going, okay, I just need to live with it. Like this is like with her dad.
Growth. Like it's the growth of a character, like saying, okay, I can't run away from this. Like it's the next logical step in becoming an adult.
Yep. Yeah. And how did you feel about the temporary blackness or like the amnesia feel that they did? I don't really know what else to call it other than she just kind of spaced out and like blanked her.
Well, and
like,
she even makes the comments about like going into fugue states and stuff like that. And I can get to some degree. I get the idea of repressing bad memories, but I feel like that's also. But they've also done this before. I think that's something that's used way too often.
Yeah.
But this is also one of those things that they take. They take things that are used pretty often and tropish, and they kind of just write it well enough that I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
So I'm a little on the fence about this memory loss thing, like the blocking out memories thing. I'm okay with it, but I'm not exactly okay with it.
See, yeah, I'm sitting on the same fence as you. like
I'll accept it, but you could have done better.
A part of me
that's where I sit.
A part of me just goes that it's a bit of a cop out. But I can accept it because it works with the story.
Right.
Like it didn't disrupt, it didn't create any, plot holes or anything. It was fine. It worked for the story.
Yeah. I mean, and when you have a 10 episode series, like I have to, I guess, think that there are going to be times where you trim something or use like a Band-Aid sort of solution to it.
Yeah.
And make it stick.
That's a decent way of looking at it.
So, I mean, I can't, it's not like it's a 20-some, it's not a 20-some episode series. Like, it's not like, or season, I should say. Like, it doesn't have 20 episodes to fucking bring about some sort of closure to that idea or explain it better.
Yeah.
Like, they're using the time they have, and like, you're just going to have to accept some of these things because we don't have time to fuck around with that.
And that's something that you see in this season for sure is they're consistently moving forward.
Yep.
Like, they haven't really sat in one spot, and like, been stuck in that one little area. They pretty much each episode they progress it forward.
Yeah, the flashback episode, the last day of Bunny Folger is probably the only one where they sit kind of stagnant, but that's all
But it was a
exposition
flashback,
stuff
yeah.
that like you needed. You know.
Yep. It all said everything. It gave an explanation to where everybody stood and why the things were happening. Yeah, absolutely. I will say the issue I have with that amnesia repressing memories thing, a part of me goes, what trauma has she, endured? And then I got to remember.
Well, I mean,
then I got to
watching your
remember that
dad-
she's been blamed for stabbing somebody. She's been,
Yeah.
whatever, her loss of her father that she apparently just couldn't accept. Like several things.
Yeah.
But it's because we don't get any emotion behind her.
Right. And that's, and that can be chalked up, I guess, to the fact that she blocks out all these bad things. So, like, she has no way of, like, emotionally, like, addressing those
Connecting
things.
her,
So,
yeah.
like, so there's that disconnect. But, yeah, part of me is just like, you were 7 and you saw your dad die. Like, I get that's fucked up and that would scar you. But, like, to then say, anytime something bad happens from there on in, I just block it out.
Not to mention she's like in her mid to late 20s now, so like
Exactly, like no one would have addressed that by now. Like someone would have fucking said something,
You would have moved on from that. I feel like you
moved
would have
on,
had
or
to.
someone would have said like, "Hey, that was fucked up. What happened then?" She'd be like, "What are you talking about?" I'd be like,
Yeah.
okay, well, you got to go see somebody."
But we do get understanding that she's very isolated. She does kind of
Right.
isolate herself. She
Yeah.
even when she had her friends back, in the first season, the whole friends group things, it seemed a little distance. So,
Good night, buddy. I love you.
how did you feel about having her and Theo hang out?
I thought it was, like you said, he was a great character to have because she got to like, kind of do like, character growth dump, essentially, like all these things these epiphanies she was having, like whatnot. She got to do that without anybody kind of overtaking the scene, which was good.
Which is the issue with Charles and
Yeah, exactly.
Oliver is they do focus on themselves. They're very self-centered.
Yeah, and not even like meaning to be half the time. It's just kind of how they are.
Just how they are. Yep.
So I think it was good in that respect. I would be interested to see if something more comes of Theo in the next few episodes, because there's only 3 episodes left.
Yep.
So to see if anything that builds off of what was established between her and Theo, not like a romantic interest, but like some closure to him and Teddy, or some movement on his character that all of a sudden he becomes a different, not even a side character anymore, but becomes more of an important figurehead almost.
Yeah.
Things like that, I'd be interested to see where they go with it, because they did enough character growth with him that he could be very interesting.
Yeah. I almost feel like I was a little confused of why was he even in this episode? Like, what was his purpose? And that's why I wanted to ask that, because as the show continued and went on, like the episode continued, I liked it. I thought it was very appropriate.
Yeah,
like,
I thought so too.
And it was great, but I'm kind of sitting the same way with you, going, I wonder what they're gonna do with this. Or are they just like, that's it. This is all we get, and then we're gonna move on. Because they've done that.
My other worry is that we're gonna get a spin-off, and it's gonna be Teddy and Theo.
I hope not.
I don't want that. As much as I love Nathan Lane, I don't want that to happen.
Yeah, no, I don't want that. Maybe their own little episode or something would be fine, but
right, or like a movie about Theo and Teddy, like that I could do. But like, yeah, I don't know. Like I say, the spinoff is like my fear, but
yeah,
I would think it interesting to see him and Teddy become more prominent characters that are interacted with for whatever reason. Whether adversarial because of Teddy and Oliver, or Theo becoming more like attached to Mabel in some way, like to see those two become more prominent characters, I think would be very interesting.
after watching this episode, a part of me really wants there to be a sense of reconnection and them be reformed, a sense of redemption. Like, I don't know
the
why.
redemption
Like,
arc.
I just really would love it if these two became father and son again, and like all the criminal bullshit that they went through, I wouldn't say disappeared, but they go through it together, and then it becomes a happier moment. Like, they're not out for vengeance. They're not out for,
I would love for it to be what happened with Theo, for it to be more comedic. Like when he talks about, she's like, "You've never been to Coney Island?" He's like, "No." Like, what did you do when you were a kid? And he just like makes the emotion of like pulling teeth, and she's like, "Oh yeah, the adventures of a teenage grave robber."
yeah.
Like, I think to be more comedic about it as characters, like as a way of like moving forward and like embracing the fact that they did these things, they're not those guys anymore.
Yeah.
And they're moving on. I think that could be really done.
I would love to see that. I really do. And I'm not one for happy endings or anything, but it's just, there's something
pleasing about the idea of a father-son reconnection.
yes. And good things coming out of it. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
I would love it if, Nathan Lane's character just forgave, like truly, like really truly forgave Oliver and Charles and Mabel, all that shit for them.
Or at least for Oliver, acknowledge like, hey, I may have fathered your son, so like I guess we're even.
And that's something where I'm still curious. We didn't get any more elaboration on that. So
you got one mention of it with like, when are those damn DNA tests supposed to come through?
Yep. So the second person that we see was
Detective
the
Williams.
detective. Yep.
Yep. Who was on maternity leave in Denver.
Yeah. And that was where in the last episode, they thought they were texting her until they realized that she was in Denver on maternity leave. And they're like,
Detective,
we texted the
so
killer.
Michael Rappaport told them that she was in Denver.
So like,
I really do love Michael Rappaport in the show, by the way. I like Michael Rappaport anyway.
Just in general, yep.
Yeah.
I liked his show where he was a dad with teenage girls and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember the name of the show, but I think it's great.
It might have just been Rappaport for all I know.
But we realized that she wasn't there, that they weren't texting them, and that they were texting the killer. So they thought.
Yeah.
And this
or
is where we get
involved at least, yeah.
Yeah, and that's where they set up the whole glitter bomb in the trash can, and it exploded, and we got Glitter Man. By the way, I loved when Theo was doing this.
She's like, is that ASL for glitter? He's like, yeah. She's like, that was fun.
That was fun. I don't know why. I liked it. I think it's because her stone cold.
Yeah, it was emotional.
Non-emotive.
Yeah.
No emotion there. She's that was fun. But she comes back with what?
A baby.
A baby. Now, how does that get introduced? Because I thought it was great.
Well, yeah,
Martin
it's
Short.
literally like,
Oliver's response to this was fantastic.
so they're what are they arguing? They're arguing about the fact that Mabel hasn't texted him back. They're not arguing, but they're discussing. And like, all of a sudden, there's a knock at the door, and Charles thinks it's Mabel, so he rushes to the door, open it, and there's a carriage, or a stroller in the front of the doorway. I can't remember what Oliver says.
He says, "Oh, a baby. Oh, great. Now we have a baby we have to deal with."
Yeah,
because we don't see the mom. We don't see anybody. It's just
Detective Williams isn't in view yet.
Nope. She's just off.
And then she roams into view, and she's like, oh no, it's not a baby. It's my new partner. It's my trainee.
Yeah, my
detective.
Trainee.
Blah blah blah. Like it says the baby's name's Keith something or other. And then she basically says that there's been something bugging me about this case. Like I want to figure it out. Like you guys are hiding something, and I need to know what.
Yeah. Once again,
this is
Martin Short, Steve Martin, fantastic.
Yeah, this is where the comedic value of this episode comes in. It's Martin Short,
it really is, yeah,
and Steve Martin interacting with Detective Williams is the comedic bit.
Just the way that she was not even forcefully or aggressively like trying to get anything out of him, but their uncomfortableness with the severity of things, just fantastic. And Oliver's like, well, I gotta go to the bathroom,
right? Because like she brings up like, did Mabel? You didn't know about Mabel's like violent past, and it's like this is two people she stabbed with a knitting needle now, and that's
Yeah.
when Charles gets really high up on his horse, and he's like, well, what you don't, or what you forget is that, Bunny was killed with a knife, not a knitting needle.
Yeah.
And Detective Krebs forget to say that. And then he goes on, he's like, you know what? Search Mabel's apartment, search my apartment, search Oliver's apartment head to toe. Like, you won't find it. And you see Oliver to get really uptight for a second. He's like,
He's like, oh.
He's like, bathroom. I have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, that was great. And he goes in there and starts swearing and
Yeah, starts yelling at the secret passageway that he can't get open because it's got a doorstop in it.
that was great. I just thought it was, once again, I agree with you. This is the comedic part. This is the only time we get the true comedic value of this episode with the two best comedic people out there. So, like,
I did love, like, as you hear that going on, and Detective Williams goes, "Is he okay?" And Charles is like, he's okay. He's got a very, like, peculiar diet.
Yeah, unusual diet.
I should probably go check on it.
Because he just eats dip. I thought that was so appropriate to say too, because he just eats dip. He's obsessed with dip. We almost never see him eat real food.
No.
And then he drinks that gut milk stuff.
Gut milk. Which you see Charles drinking in the beginning of the scene.
It was gut buzz.
It's the diet stuff.
It was gut buzz, is what it was called.
I think it was an energy drink version or something.
Yeah,
like that,
I think it's like an energy drink version of
but
that.
it's also diet. I'm pretty sure I saw the can. I think it's diet gut buzz.
Either way, gut buzz and then
I loved when Charles goes into the bathroom and he's like, they're having the conversation about the knife. Detective Williams is listening, and then she knocks on the door and he's like, "Oh, I'll be right there. This turned into a 2-man job."
Yeah.
And they're constantly trying to, like, to move the conversation away from the knife, or like say, "No, we don't have the knife." And then finally, like, I think the best one is Charles goes, "So when you say knife, what do you mean?"
Yeah. It's great. It's
really
uncomfortable
wonderful.
awkwardness was fantastic. Yeah, I thought that was great. I think that the value that we get from Detective Williams coming in was purely that, which is just to make these two feel uncomfortable, because she really didn't do anything.
No, not until the end when she takes the knife. She's like, I'll do whatever, and, like, I'll let you know what I find.
Yeah, she really didn't have, like, I would say, a sense of value in this episode.
No.
In this, she just kind of popped in and popped out. It was great though. It was great. Even especially that whole, like, dance number or whatever. I thought that was funny.
when the
gas baby's got the bass.
the way they
gas.
charm her into, like, believing them enough, and, like, he does a chorus line with the
Chorus line,
baby's
there it
legs to,
is.
like, get the gas out.
Yeah, and then when
And
she's
then when she
leaving
leaves
and she's
belts
just
up, it's
singing,
like, I don't fucking know.
yeah, like, I
chorus
don't
line.
fucking know chorus line. Yeah, just Oliver just had a big old smile.
Charles just looks confused.
Yeah, it was great. I did like the episode, or that scene.
Yeah.
Towards the end though, so when they were at Coney Island, when they were when Mabel and Theo were at Coney Island, who did they run into? Why were they there? What was the whole point?
Because Glitter Guy dropped a Coney Island security badge.
Yeah. So they were on a subway when Mabel stabbed a guy. And Theo was on the same subway and, like, a car over or whatever. And then she, like, stabbed, the whole thing went out. They stepped out of the subway in the tunnel and saw her running by. So that's how they connected.
And basically he guided her to his apartment to, like, make sure she didn't get in trouble or get hurt.
That's why she woke up in his apartment. That's what we figured out. That's what we get seen. But he picked up a security badge that had fallen off the Glitter Guy. So that's the whole purpose. Coney Island. They wanted to go.
So they went to go look at employee files, and, they end up stealing them. But, like, then Mabel goes to the bathroom and notices glitter in the sink.
Yep.
And so she goes into this employee locker room and, like, ends up hiding in one of the lockers when Glitter Guy comes in, and she basically hits him with a locker door, grabs her bag, which is he had stolen. That was the other reason they wanted to find him.
Stole it on
he
the
had stolen
subway.
her bag when she stabbed him.
Yep.
So she gets her bag back and they take off. Because it had the matchbook in it.
Yep.
I almost said Matchbook Romance, but that's a band. I don't know why.
Now, we didn't get a face. We didn't get to see who it was, but we got to see a little bit better of a body. It was a lot more up
Definitely
close.
a taller guy.
Do you have any thoughts after watching this?
No, I got no thoughts at this point. At this point in the episode, I have no thoughts on who it is and who it might have been.
I'm suspecting that it is one of the fan club guys, and it's the old guy because he's
the old
tall.
guy that said his daughter was his daughter came out and whatnot. Yeah,
he has a very similar build, and
mind.
he is tall. He's very lanky and tall. If you just put a hood on him, I wouldn't be able to tell.
Could
body
be.
shape.
Yeah, I mean, it very well might be. I'd like to say, I at this point, I've kind of given up on trying to figure out who it might be.
Yeah, because they're not really giving you anything.
No,
They're just.
So I'm just kind of enjoying the ride.
Yeah. Did you like that they exposed a little bit more of the bad guy? Or did you think that they should have maybe just kept that out of it and let
No,
the
I think it
suspense
was
build?
fine because I think, you didn't have him in shadow, but you didn't get any defining features. Like, there's nothing to really like make you go, oh, I know who it is, other than like the build
Yeah.
of the person. But like, there's no defining features for you to go, yeah, that's who it is.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was fine. I honestly speaking, they're keeping him hooded, I think would have been just as fine. But I think the way they did it here fit well into the story and the way they were doing things.
A part of me, I didn't care for that. It didn't seem appropriate. And I mean this in a real world situation. If a guy's by himself, why would he still have a hood up? Why would he still have his shit up? He was obviously there already when Mabel and them were there because the glitters and patch, and he goes and like grabs a medical kit, whatever. So he just like stepped out for a little bit and then came back in. Where the fuck he went and why it took so long, I have no idea.
Right.
But like, would he still have a hood up if he works there and stuff? You know what I mean?
I mean, he may have a hood, but I mean, there's nothing saying he had the mask on.
Yeah, I that's true. That's fair.
That's the only reasoning I can give.
I just felt like it wasn't as natural as maybe
I
it
get what you mean.
should be as a character.
I guess I didn't read too far into that hood part, but like,
It was more of just the situation. I just feel like, if I'm gonna go to work, I'm not gonna still feel suspicious. I'm gonna fucking cut loose because I'm like, I'm at work. I'm in a safe spot.
yep,
But
sure.
it was just something that I kind of nitpicked a little bit because it just didn't feel,
I feel you.
like you could feel that they were purposely keeping him out of the spotlight. His back was turned all the time. Like he wasn't even like moving his head. He was like moving his arms to do shit. It just seemed odd. But I knew it right away as soon as she went into the bathroom. I knew it. Just that horror film concept,
Yeah.
just
Boy,
I don't
did they
know.
they made Coney Island look like the dirtiest place on earth, by the way.
I've never been, so maybe it is.
No, but I mean, I would assume there's some amount of cleanliness, but yeah, I mean, but the bathroom she was in just looked like a truck stop bathroom.
It really did. It didn't look like a legit. Well, it actually looked like a employee's bathroom or like an employee's
suppose,
locker room
yeah.
because that's what they were in, was in the locker room. So it's like something like that.
Yeah, I'll
but,
give you that one.
Still, yeah. The end of this episode. What was the big reveal? What was after they left Coney Island? What was the big reveal?
Theo and Mabel are in the car, and she's rifling through the bag. She finds her bag in his bag, and she's like, "Oh, great!" She can't find the matchbook, which is upsetting to her. But she rifles through, and she finds like what looked like at first a piece of paper. It turned out to be a photo, but it looked like a piece of paper. So they go to the pickle diner where the guys are. She has a quick heart-to-heart with Theo about, not putting stuff off, not like ignoring problems because that's what she does, and blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to try and recreate the fucking speech because she did it fine.
Yep, she did it fine.
But so she goes in, she says hi to the guys. She then tells Charles, she says, I'm not happy about what I'm going to show you next. And pulls out a photo, and it is a photo of the episode where Charles puts Lucy in a limousine and sends her home. And it's focused on it. The middle of the picture is focused on Lucy. Charles is kind of in the background.
Yeah,
So
he's just off to the side. But
yeah, and so he gets worried and he calls Lucy, and she's like, "Where are you?" He's like, "Where are you?" And she's like, "I'm at your place. Like, I came in to see you." And right as she says, "I came in to see you," blackout.
yeah.
Like citywide blackout. It's not the screen blacked out.
Nope.
The city goes into a blackout.
Yeah,
And the call drops.
It's not.
and
Yeah,
everything.
it's not that he just lost service or that it was hung up. It was the diner lost electricity. Every fucking building in the city lost electricity. So a complete wipeout. Yep.
Yep.
Now, was that a hell of a way to end an episode?
It's a hell of a cliffhanger because you leave a child
Yeah.
in danger, and they haven't made any move to be like, I have to get there.
Yeah.
So you don't know what they're gonna do.
I'm not gonna lie. I started to watch the next episode.
I had to stop
and
myself.
I had same here. I had to pull it away from myself. I'm like, nope, I can't do this. I gotta stay true.
I wanted to. I was like, oh no, what are they gonna do?
Yep. I was like, I just don't want to fuck up. I don't want to blend anything. I want to keep it straight. But my God, it was tough. Because that's a hell of a cliffhanger.
Right.
Overall,
Yeah, it's
this episode, man,
a great episode.
it was a great episode.
Well written, well done. Like, yeah, I got no complaints about this episode really.
I don't. We got some good information. It was definitely what I guess we like to kind of call like a filler episode, but in a very let's keep things rolling way.
Yeah.
It was not at all something that was like, oh, we could have done without or anything of that nature. This played a pertinent part, but I wouldn't say it was a big focus of an episode.
This was plot heavy, or maybe not even plot heavy, but plot medium. In so much you got pertinent information, but there was plenty of other stuff going on that like it wasn't strictly plot.
Yeah, and that's where I was saying it was like a leading up thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a little ramp to go up to where we know we're going somewhere.
For sure.
And the blackout thing is probably exactly it. That's what that's leading us into. Is like, what's going to happen now? You know, we got this big citywide blackout. Somebody's in danger. There's a killer out there. There's matchbook missing. Like, what's going to happen?
Murder on the loose.
And then you got these two doofuses with this girl.
You got a 20-something and like two 7-year-old morons.
Yep. So it'll be exciting. I can't wait to watch the next episode. Yeah, I think the next episode's called Blackout too, or In the Black, or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. It has. Yeah. I read the synopsis so to stop myself from actually
Hello,
watching
Darkness.
the episode. Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I have a feeling
Simon
they're
and
going to play.
Garfunkel are gonna
Yep,
be in that
Simon and
episode.
Garfunkel. They're probably going to play it.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
So, out of one out of 5,
Oh, I give this one a 5.
I agree.
I got no qualms about giving this one a 5.
No, there's a lot of things
laughed.
yeah. I mean, there's just a lot of things I liked in this episode. A lot of
I
things.
laughed. I was intrigued. Questions were answered. Questions were presented to me. Like, I'm on board for the next episode. Like,
Yeah. And that's
it
one thing
filled
that
all the dots.
Yeah, that's one thing this show does an amazing job at is they make us ask a bunch of questions and then they give us a handful of answers of these questions that we kind of didn't know that we wanted, but are important. And and I laughed and it was great. And I love Theo. I really do. I love that character.
Yeah, I'm on board with seeing more of his character.
And I really, really I think right away that's the feeling I got when we see him come back. I'm like, oh, it's him. Okay.
Yep.
What are they doing? Yeah, like where are they going with this? So it kind of kept me on my toes.
I will say the one thing I don't want is for this to become a romantic interest thing.
No, I thought the same thing.
I think that would be a terrible mistake.
After
what they did with Cara Delevingne and Oscar, I think it'd be an awful thing.
And it didn't feel that way. It didn't feel like they were leading it that way by any means.
No, and I don't think so either. But I just realized that like it's possible that they could subvert that, and I don't want them to.
I hope not. I hope not.
Yeah.
Fuck the love relationship bullshit. We don't need that. We don't need that.
No, not at all.
All right. Well, I don't have anything else to say about this. I'm
I
excited
think
for the
we're
next
done.
episode. I
This
just can't
next
wait.
episode is going to be great.
Yep. So, all right. Well, thanks for joining me, Aram.
Yeah.
And this has been, what was it called? Flipping the Pieces,
Yeah.
which I guess we really didn't talk about the puzzle piece. It's kind of an
Well,
important
but I
part.
mean, at the same time, like we want people to watch the episodes. So,
It's true.
I mean,
It's true.
leave
We
a
don't
little bit
need
of mystery to it.
True. But yeah, flipping.
Watch the episode. You'll understand.
Go
why
watch
it's
the
called
episode. Yep. Flipping the Pieces, season 2, episode 7.
that. Episode 7. Yeah.
Hulu original series, Only Murders in the Building.
Yeah.
So go check it out, and we will catch you later.
Peace out, Girl Scout.
Bye.
Hurt feelings make me laugh.